The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for the 1st of January 2016 opened up with gold at $1,061.20 an ounce, silver $13.80 an ounce, Texas crude $37.04 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 434 U.S. currency. Today in history, Thursday, January 1st, 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation was issued through executive order by President Abraham Lincoln. In a single stroke, it changed the federal legal status of more than 3 million enslaved persons in the 10 southern states that were still in rebellion, from slave to free. In recent news, Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed an initiative regulating the transport of goods from Ukraine to Kazakhstan through Russian territory. Apparently, international automobile and railway transit of goods from Ukraine territory to the territory of the Republic of Kazakhstan through the territory of the Russian Federation could be carried out only through the territory of the Republic of Belarus, adding that vehicles carrying goods from Ukraine to Kazakh territories should be equipped with devices supporting Russia's GLONASS navigation systems for tracking. These measures, which are in response to the suspension of the Russian-Ukraine Free Trade Zone Agreement, are now in effect and are expected to last until July 1st, 2016. Restrictive measures against imports on Turkish foods and agricultural products to Russia also came into effect today. Other restrictive measures included the suspension of visa-free travel between the two countries, as well as Russian companies being banned from hiring Turkish citizens. Russia is stating that these measures are in response to Turkey's shooting down of the Russian Su-24 attack aircraft in November of last year. Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu claimed that Turkey was considering possible measures against Russia and will impose sanctions if necessary. Apple Incorporated is set to pay out Italy's tax office 318 million euros or $348 million to settle a dispute over accusations that it failed to pay taxes for 6 years. The agreement comes as the European Union and national governments take a tougher stand against tax evasion tactics. In a recent interview, however, with the CBS television news show 60 Minutes, Apple's chief executive Tim Cook dismissed as total political crap the notion that the tech giant was avoiding taxes. The Lone Star Lowdown wishes all of you a Happy New Year. This was your Lowdown for January 1st, 2016.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I have a joke for you. The government in this town is excellent and uses your tax dollars efficiently.
Bitcoin is immune from attack almost completely. Bitcoin, you actually gain far more using the computing power to generate Bitcoin.
There's a system approaching perfection. Just in time for it to disappear. There's a system approaching perfection. Just in time for it to disappear.
We'll walk deeper into the belly of the beast if it means I'm able to further limit reckless government spending. I mean, I have so many ideas. Some are simple, like take down traffic lights and eliminate the post office. The bigger ones will be tougher, like bring all of this crumbling to the ground.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Crypto Show, a show dedicated to understanding the promise of currency, technology, and anarchy in the pursuit of a free society. And if you believe like we do that such a society can and should exist, then join us, why don't you, as we parade through a world unbound by convention, a world sketched by the beauty of the human artist. Because each and every one of you listening right now is that artist. So, for the next 2 hours, let go of your most sacred system of thought and entertain the possibility that maybe, just maybe, everything we've been told about currency, technology, and yes, even that dirty, dirty little word anarchy is only one part of an ever-expanding, ever-possible, complex universe of ideas, one that we simply refuse to explore. So what do you say, listeners? Let's do some universe exploring tonight and have some fun while we do it. Still waiting for that to come out. I think that comes out in a few months, the new X-Files season. Only 6 episodes, though. That's a pity. Well, tonight, guys, is January 3rd, 2016, a Sunday. Of course, we're in the new year. It goes without saying. And let's hope it's an exciting and brilliant and a wonderful new year, and not the terrifying new year that a lot of the political stirrings seem to indicate it might be. We'll see. Of course, it's always a mixed bag in this crazy world of ours when government's afoot, and it's quite afoot. Well, speaking of government and speaking of things that can hopefully circumvent government, make it obsolete, and render it innocuous, of course, we have Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, digital currency, peer-to-peer decentralized payment system. Obviously, one of the things the crypto show is about. Well, we're bringing back to the show after this break, Rasa of Mycelium. I think his full name is, I had it written down just for those who are interested. I'm on the wrong page. That's why. Dmitry Rasa Murashik, originally from the Ukraine. And in fact, one of the topics we will discuss with him later in the show is the Ukraine, current developments, and also probably going over some of the recent occurrences in the past. I'm saying again, I guess a lot. Someone apparently counted all the I did in a single episode, allegedly, and it was like 600 something. And it depends. Some shows I basically have none. Other shows, if I'm like really tired and didn't get much sleep like tonight.
I made that up.
You're such a jerk. There's things I wanted to call you on air that I can't. Thanks a lot. Well, sometimes I do say it too much. And it's weird because other times
I just said that to make you conscious of it too.
Well, I appreciate it for what that's worth. I'm sure you did me a service. I'm sure I'm going to be less likely to do it than more likely to do it now that I'm all nervous about saying But I hate you. I should have known it was. You said it with such a straight face. It's hard for Danny to do anything with a straight any part of his body. But anyway. I just did it again. No, but Rasa will discuss with about from Mycelium. He's basically their spokesperson.
That's 11 already.
11 that you've counted?
Yeah. Well,
I'll try to keep it to 1,200. Okay. But Rasa, basically the spokesperson for Mycelium, Dmitry Rasa Murashik, originally from the Ukraine, will also discuss stuff in the Ukraine with them. I guess he was listening to one of our shows, and I made some inaccurate statements about some of the recent goings on. And I probably did. I was probably tired or misspoke. I get things confused in my head sometimes when I'm haven't gotten much sleep, which is pretty frequent. So I'm excited to talk to him. He's a great guy. We got to hang out with him during the New York City Liberty Fest earlier this year. He was kind enough to give me a ride over to Tone Vase's place, where we did a live episode with Tone Vase, Paul Puey of Airbits.
Wow,
and,
you remember.
And of course, Rasa, I keep doing it, Rasa of Mycelium. And what's great is we're going to have him back and give him the full floor most of the episode to talk about Mycelium and Ukraine and whatever he wants to talk about. And that way he doesn't have to split time with Tone Vase and Paul Puey. As much of a wonderful episode as that was, and as fascinating and informative as those guys are, it's nice to give Rasa his own show, because both Tone Vase and Paul Puey have had most of a show before to themselves. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, but since then, there's also been a couple of new developments out of Mycelium, so that's true. That's what makes it
some exciting stuff. Mycelium gear and Mycelium card, and then we're also going to discuss if there's any future for Mycelium entropy, which I was talking to Brian of Factum about it earlier, and he told me a couple things I don't think I was aware of. So we'll see if those are true, or he was just lying, like to pull the wool over my eyes, like you always do, Danny, about practically everything.
We'll also be talking about Mycelium brand of magic mushrooms. No, I'm kidding.
I wish we should do that. If they ever legalize, that'd be awesome. We'd make a lot of money, I think. By the way, real quick, don't forget our sponsors.
You wouldn't make any money. You'd do them all.
Probably. I'd go to the next level of human consciousness. I'd leave you all behind. But don't forget our sponsors, Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements, bravenewbookstore.com and the bitcoinbookstore.com. And, Brave New Books, your source for longevity products, Burke Superfoods, all sorts of books on alternative history, economics, conspiracy, and the rest, and tons of cool events going on. So don't forget to check that out.
Previous statement may not actually be true, or it's based in drug-induced fantasy.
Or is it? I'll leave that for you to decide. Don't forget thecryptoshow.com/free Ross to continue donating to Ross Ulbricht's Appeals Fund. And in the remainder of this segment, I kind of want to pick up where I left off last episode, talking about Bernie Sanders, if I may. And hopefully I'll be talking about something I didn't pick up on last time. I think I am. Last time I basically touched on Social Security. Let's see what his other issues are. Now, he had a recent tweet, Bernie Sanders did, quote, "You have families out there paying 6, 8, 10% on student debt."
This is the guy that he's dead and parties all weekend with his...
Yeah.
Same guy, right?
Except instead of a weekend at Bernie's, some people hope it'll be 4 years at Bernie's.
4 years at Bernie's.
But at that time, he's going to be pretty rotten and
I know.
stinky.
Yeah. By the end of that, everyone will look just like him.
I hope so. I hope those liberals will take a rotting corpse as a hint that his policies are just as rotten. But, quote, you have families out there paying 6, 8, 10% on student debt, but you can refinance your homes at 3%. What sense is that, end quote? Well, that betrays one of two things about Bernie, both of which are reasons alone not to vote for him. One, he's a liar and a manipulator who pretends not to understand basic finance and economics. And this isn't hard for anyone. You don't need a degree for this. Or two, he is completely ignorant of economics and is not competent to be president. And really, no one's competent to be president. But if we're going to at least have someone who is supposed to be able to manage affairs, then he is not capable of that. So why is it that families pay 6, 8, 10% on student debt, but only 3% on a house? Now, keep in mind this tweet. Bernie is appealing to certain demographics. And I mean, I guess in a way I can't blame a person for trying to do that, but at the same time, it's cynical and manipulative. He is basically pitting people with student debts against people with mortgages in a sense. And what I mean is most of his supporters aren't going to have mortgages, because mortgages, especially these days, are increasingly unavailable to those who aren't basically upper middle class or maybe middle class. But there are fewer Americans these days who can afford to qualify for a mortgage and responsibly pay for a house. His demographic are all of those disillusioned, restless. That's not the word I'm looking for. College students who have $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 in student loan debt for their liberal arts degree and are working the same job they worked before they went to college. And that's his demographic. And
You sound bitter.
Well, fortunately, I'm not working the same job I did before I went to college.
I mean about your student loan debt.
I am. I do have student loan debt. I'll be the first to admit it. And what's sad is when I was 18, and that was already like 15 years ago, 16 years ago, I knew better than to go to college. I tried to go to computer science, but it was too much work and I'm lazy. Anyway, regardless, he's trying to appeal to these people with student loans who are foolish enough to go to college, get worthless degrees, and be stuck with all this debt. And the reason that student loan debt is so high compared to mortgage debt is because a student loan debt is an unsecured debt. A mortgage is a secured debt. In other words, there is seizable collateral backing the mortgage loan, the house, the land, obviously, which means that there's less risk of absolute default. So a borrower can default on a mortgage, but the bank can simply foreclose on the house and try to recoup what it lent out through the value of the home. Whereas with the student loan, not only is there no collateral for it, but a lot of student loans, because they are indiscriminately given out through government programs to anybody for any degree, regardless of creditworthiness or income or any of that, people have no incentive to get a real marketable degree that can actually pay back the loan. And they have no disincentive to get a non-marketable degree that will not only not likely boost their job prospects, but will probably hinder their job prospects and put them in a bunch of worthless debt. So that's why, in fact, if anything, 6, 8, 10% on student loan debt is low. That's artificially low because of government subsidy. If you think about it, a student loan should be somewhere in the range of a credit card debt. A credit card debt a credit card debt is a revolving unsecured debt. In other words, you can pay it off and then keep taking out the credit. So in that sense, I suppose it would be a slightly higher interest rate. But really, 6, 8, 10% student loan debt should probably be double that, because at least with the credit card, you can buy appliances and stuff that you actually need in life. Whereas with student loans, all you can get is a worthless college degree in large part. Not to say that college is completely useless, but most of the degrees and most of the degree seekers out there are pretty much useless. And if people weren't shielded from reality, they wouldn't be in the situation. And of course, all these students like to blame everyone else but themselves for the choices they made, but that's humanity. We'll be right back with Rasa from Mycelium here on the other side of the break on The Crypto Show.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
This is what happens when you call the cops. Say what? This is what happens when you call the cops. Come on. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot. I'm sick of people being victimized by criminal cops. Psychopathic predators terrorizing neighborhood blocks. Equipped with pepper spray, mace, cuffs, tasers, and glocks. They like serial killers.
All right, guys, welcome. Welcome back, I think, to The Crypto Show.
I get shot.
Did you hear that, Rasa? I can't tell if I heard
Hell
that.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard it.
I couldn't tell if I only heard it in the studio, not on the mic too. That's our little.
Cops were hunting. Like, hey, there's a deer. Let's call the cops.
That is pretty similar to what they do. Basically, they just hunt citizens down. And God, that's a.
Oh my God! Can you imagine a black guy with antlers?
Just out in the woods, you see deer, you call cops to come in, shoot the crap out of it. You see another deer, or even on your lawn, you know.
That's perfect. That's how I'm going to stock up for next winter with venison. Is just to go out in the woods and call the cops and tell them the cops that it's my dog with antlers, and then the cops will just shoot my dog.
He's a pit bull.
Yeah, he's a pit bull. He's not legal in the city. Get him, copper. That's funny. Yep. Well, we have on the line comedian. Rasa of Mycelium, more than comedian though. He's a spokesperson for Mycelium. Great guy. As I mentioned, we saw him last at the New York City Liberty Fest. We got to hang out with him. We had a pretty fun night, and he got to be part of the Bitcoin Roundtable with Tone Vace and Paul Play of. Well, Tone is, of course, Brave New Coin, I should mention, and Paul Play, owner and founder, or CEO and founder of Airbits, and we're glad, though, just to have Rasa all by himself, sharing the floor with nobody. And we're excited because Mycelium has a lot of cool new stuff to talk about.
Except for this squirrel.
I want you to sing. I don't know if they can shoot that well to get the squirrel. The squirrel's too small.
That's true.
But you should do the Chipmunks Christmas carols on the show, Danny. That would be funny. But the whole floor is his tonight. And we'll also talk to him about the Ukraine, which I may have made some misstatements about recently, and I apologize for that.
For one, you called it the Ukraine. There's no the in the Ukraine. It's just Ukraine.
That's true. That is a good point.
They also located it in Oklahoma.
It turns out
apparently it's not in Oklahoma.
It's in Georgia. I my mistake. It's in Georgia. That's my bad. No, I'm just
well, part of it's in Texas, the Odessa part, I think.
Oh, that's true. Odessa. Yeah, there's literally New York State and Texas have like every city in the world in it.
Even New Holland.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
It's north of Georgetown.
Even old New York was once New Amsterdam. But anyway, well, let's get to content. So there aren't any complaints from anybody about us talking too long about non-content issues. Well, Rasa, we've had you back on the show. We've had you on the show before, but for those who are just tuning in, have never heard about you, tell us just a little bit about your background and how you came to join Mycelium.
Well, I have a background in computer software development. I worked for McDonald's Corp for a little while until they outsourced everybody back in the dot-com bubble. Since then, I switched to finance. I got some degrees in finance and economics. I worked for the government, which was it was a Department of Housing for the Maryland state, and it was great because when you work for the government, you get about 2 hours of work and then 6 hours of just getting tax dollars for nothing. So I spent all that time learning about Bitcoin on the forums, on the Reddit, kind of talking to a lot of people. Built up a reputation. Mycelium needed somebody who was trustworthy. At that point, I was a treasurer for the forum account. I still am, actually. I was a treasurer for a Bitcoin 100 charity. I had some, reputation, and people knew me, so Mycelium wanted to grab me to represent them since I was as a community manager. So that was my position for them. And then since then, I kind of stepped up to be the product manager to start guiding where the wallet is going to be, and kind of, in a way, I'm kind of same as Paul Play. I'm not the CEO, but I'm in charge of what's going on, so I'm competing directly against him. And all
is he not CEO, Paul Play?
Paul Play is CEO.
Oh, he is CEO.
He is CEO. Gotcha. I am not the CEO, but Mycelium is an umbrella that has a lot of different products. I am the one in charge of the wallet, so I'm basically doing what Paul is doing with regards to the wallets, except for raising money, I guess.
Didn't you guys recently hire Scrooge McAltcoin too?
Yeah, we did.
What is that?
I was gonna say it's not really McAltcoin; it's like anti-altcoin.
Yeah. That's why we put Scrooge in the front of it. That's why whenever he's on the show, we always refer to him as Scrooge McAltcoin. He loves it.
That's funny. We should maybe.
We also found out that Airbits apparently has a brownie on their team, so we had to get one of those too. So you got to keep things even.
A brownie on their team.
Brownie.
Are you being racist? No, I'm just kidding. No, they got a good team over there. Will Pangman and MK Lords we had on recently. Yes, but there's
some people.
They are, and there's room in this world for more than one great Bitcoin wallet. Well, we're going to talk about some of the other stuff Mycelium does, but we'll give us a rundown of the wallet and why should I pick a Mycelium wallet for my Bitcoin?
Well, for one, you can set it up in less than 5 minutes, probably in about a minute.
And if you're 14, you know.
Yeah. We don't have a login and password. It just, you install it, you open it, it runs. You do need to actually do the backup if you're going to use it with more secure funds. We also, it's more of an advanced use wallet because you have access to multiple accounts. You can do multiple HD accounts, multiple single address accounts, watch-only addresses, stuff like that. There's built-in support for Tor if you want to be anonymous. A built-in kind of a local trader kind of system that's also totally anonymous, encrypted peer-to-peer. There's no escrow accounts involved.
So local trader is in like localbitcoins.com for just finding people to buy and sell Bitcoin?
Yeah, but it's built directly into the phone as opposed to being on a website, and it's directly phone to phone. Yeah, peer-to-peer.
That's awesome. So there's a lot of cool features with Mycelium. And that's why, unlike Airbits is a little bit more, I don't know, for lack of a better word, bare bones compared to Mycelium, I think. But of course, with Airbits, a lot of their target is more of beginners to Bitcoin. And those
Airbits also has a lot of more advanced features. I mean, they also support BitID and some of the other stuff we do. It's just, as you said, they're more targeting the beginner or normal users who don't really know anything about Bitcoin, whereas we target more of the advanced Bitcoiners.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Target, they also have that little Target app in Starbucks as well, which is really pretty cool.
Oh, that is pretty cool.
It's super easy to get that going.
Get some discounts. And remind me, with the Mycelium wallet, are your private keys stored on your device? Or are they stored in the server somewhere? On the device.
Yeah. We also support hardware devices as well, so you can actually store your private keys on a Ledger, on a Trezor, on the Secure Zone, which is try to remember TEE. It's a separate chip that's on the phone. It's a secure element on the phone that can store your keys as well. So in Mycelium, you'd be able to see your account. You'd be able to see all of your addresses, but addresses and address balances. But if you want to spend, you would actually have to hook up the device physically to the phone in order to sign the keys.
Gotcha. Well, we've got less than 2 minutes till break, so I don't want to switch gears till after we get back. But I do want to bring up a quick topic. We saw you at the New York City Liberty Fest. What kind of festivals or conferences or whatever have you done since then?
I've been to the Inside Bitcoins conference, and I believe that's it. I've been traveling for a vacation actually since then, like Aruba. But I am looking forward to Acapulco and North American Bitcoin Conference in Miami.
You're not going to, what was it that we had on the guy last week? You're not going to the Amsterdam conference, are you?
At D10?
No, it's too far.
I know, we so wanted to go. I mean, that sounds like the ultimate conference. I mean, a lot of that would be above our heads, but fascinating stuff that, we had on, his name escapes me, but we had on a guy who was going to be there. And of course, they're going to talk about Bitcoin, 3D printing, transhumanism, all sorts of cool stuff. And it's in Amsterdam, and they're so smart on their website. They just have like a panning video of, one of the canal streets of Amsterdam. And it's just like so lovely. And it's just
that would be awesome. But unfortunately, I'm booked for all my trips at this point.
Oh, well, maybe we can all go next year. We'll see. Well, we're coming to break.
Hopefully.
We're speaking, hopefully, we'll see. We're speaking with Rasa of Mycelium, and we were just talking about the Mycelium wallet. Well, they've got a lot of other cool things going on, and we'll talk to him about that, as well as stuff about the Ukraine and maybe in Acapulco here on the other side. So stay tuned here on the Crypto Show.
When their plane touched down in America, 2 British tourists were greeted by the feds, handcuffed, jailed, and deported. Their crime? I'll give you a hint. It had to do with Twitter. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll have the not-so-funny details in a moment.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Here's a tip for anyone planning to visit us here in the land of liberty. Don't wisecrack about America on the web. Big Brother won't be amused. Leanne Bryan and Emily Bunting of Great Britain learned this recently at Los Angeles International Airport, where they were stripped of their passports, interrogated, handcuffed, and hauled off to jail. Why the warm welcome? Well, before the trip, Lee had joked on Twitter that he wanted to destroy America, British slang for party it up, and dig up Marilyn Monroe's grave on Hollywood Boulevard. Humor apparently is no defense with Homeland Security. After spending 12 hours detained alongside drug dealers, the Brits were deported. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network, logosradionetwork.com.
What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader or will you follow? Are you a fighter or will you cower? It's our time to take back the power. What you gonna do?
We're the Chipmunks.
When they show up in black suits?
Oh, what's that? I used to have an Alvin doll when I was a kid. Like for a long time was my favorite thing. Alvin,
That
Simon.
explains everything. Okay.
What is that supposed to mean?
Explains a lot.
Well, because I didn't have Simon, I wasn't the big nerdy tech guy like everyone else in the Bitcoin sphere. I see. I was just Alvin, the cool kid. Well, I'm sorry that you're jealous of me being Alvin, the cool kid.
It's okay. I didn't like any of those.
You look a lot more like
the Hedgehog, so you can make fun of me for that if you want.
You didn't like the Chipmunks?
No.
What's wrong with you? I hate you all. Well, let's switch topics. I'm going to get too emotional here. Well, welcome back, guys, to the Crypto Show. Of course, it's January 3rd, 2015 here on Logos Radio Network. Brought to you, as always, by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. And we're speaking with Dimitri Rasa.
No, they dropped us.
Oh, really? Oh, man. It's for all the ums, right? I exceeded the limit.
You exceeded the limit.
We're talking with Rasa of Mycelium. We were just discussing the Mycelium wallet, and we got some other cool stuff that we're going to talk about too. Some really cool stuff. Well, and we did mention someone who recently joined Mycelium. He goes by the handle Scrooge McAltcoin. That's his hacker
pseudonym.
Yeah, hacker pseudonym, avatar, whatever.
So anonymous, even I haven't heard of it before, even though I heard.
Now that's great encryption right there. That's great security when you don't even know who it is. No, but you do know who it is. Well, actually, tell us about that real quick too. Who he actually is and why you brought him on, or why y'all brought him on.
Well, it's Daniel Kravitz. He's the founder of Nakamoto Institute. We hired him for the backend developer because he is really brilliant when it comes to crypto, and also has some really good connections like Christoph Atlas, Justice Tranvier, and others. So we, yeah, he's right. He lives not too far. So we hired him, and right now he's actually finally trying to develop a CoinJoin service. We wanted to finally get around to getting that working in our wallet, and after a lot of research, we found out that most of the CoinJoin idea has not really progressed much further. There's on the white paper. So now he's.
What is the concept of CoinJoin?
You create a transaction where a lot of people put their money in and verify that the money that comes out needs to go where it goes. Everybody signs off when everybody verifies, and you have a single transaction where lots of people put money in, lots of money comes out, and you have no idea whose money went where. So it's a distributed mixer of sorts.
Interesting.
It almost sounds like money laundering.
Sure.
And we're okay with that. Trust me, we're okay with that. Well, just real quick, what would be maybe it should be more obvious to me. What would be a practical application of that?
Well, right now, everybody's transactions are somewhat can be traced. If you find out somebody's address, you can figure out kind of where they spent if they're not careful. CoinJoin makes tracking Bitcoin extremely difficult. And if you make CoinJoin a default or semi-default, like CoinJoin every, say, 5 transactions for everybody, then Bitcoin will actually be completely anonymous.
I see. Okay, I actually sort of misunderstood at first. Like my conception for a second was almost like a fantasy football type betting scenario. Now that makes sense. Mixing it up so you can't track it as well. Well, that's cool. Well, hopefully y'all can get it out of the white paper stage and get it on the road to implementation. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
We got really scared by all the companies wanting to do like whitelisting and tracking the transactions, making sure they're legit. And we're like, wow, we really got to get on the ball and make all transactions be completely impossible to track as fast as we can.
No kidding. Well, and that's part of the learning process, I guess. As
will those be gray coins?
Yeah,
they come out the other side.
I guess.
I'm not even sure where you were.
Black and white Bitcoin.
Oh, okay. Because I never mind. Mine's in the gutter. Well, that's awesome. Daniel is a really talented guy. He's been on the show before, both as a guest and actually as a co-host once or twice, and definitely a valuable asset for the team. So that's great to hear for him and great to hear for you guys. Well, let's talk about some of the other stuff you guys got going on. Let me see. What would be the best one to start with? Well, let's do Mycelium Gear. Tell us about that.
Gear is a free service that lets you, well, I guess for users, I probably should explain the background of a little bit of a Bitcoin stuff. You have your public Bitcoin address and your private key. You can share your Bitcoin address and other people can send you money, but you need the private key to spend from. HD wallets, the hierarchical deterministic, they have the same kind of public-private component where you have a public key for HD wallet, which lets you generate all the addresses, as many addresses you want without the private key. And you have the private key portion of HD wallets that lets you generate the private keys associated with those public addresses. So what Geared lets you do is you can create a Bitcoin wallet on any wallet that supports HD wallets, export the public key portion to Gear, and then Gear can generate invoices using your own Bitcoin addresses for people to send money to. But instead of, like, for example, with BitPay, BitPay generates an invoice, you send money to a BitPay address, and BitPay takes that money and sends it to your own Bitcoin address. With Gear, it generates new addresses, but the addresses are actually belonging to your own wallet. So any payments paid through a Gear merchant plugin will go directly into your own wallet as opposed to any third party.
Yeah, so there's no intermediary there in the transaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's really awesome because, I mean, it almost goes without saying, but a big part of what, Bitcoin and related technologies are all about is not just peer-to-peer, although I guess what I'm about to say is kind of a facet of it, not just decentralization, but trustless payments, trustless data transmission, where you don't need a third party holding on to either your Bitcoin, your assets, or any of your information. And so that's just another wonderful step in that direction for this technology and for this market. And is it a free service? Is it a fee service? How does it work?
Yeah, it's a free service, open source. You can use our own website to set up a Gear widget to get donations or sell your own products, or you can just get the code and run it on your own website. And it works through WordPress and other merchant plugins.
So there may one day not even be a BitPay potentially. Everyone's just going to use Danny's.
Potentially. BitPay is still useful for if you want to convert the money from Bitcoin to your
dollars.
Yeah. Because Gear just sends it to you directly as Bitcoin.
Well, and are y'all considering adding on a feature like that, like a fiat conversion or anything like that? Is anything like that in the works?
Possibly. We are working on new features, like we're going to have a payroll plugin for Gear, so you can use that to pay all your workers, and also escrow services are going to be like multi-signature type Gear payments, so that it'll become more of a business app. As for regular payments, our policy in Mycelium is we never want to hold anybody's money, in partly because we don't want to have any extra liabilities. So what we may support is for people to be able to convert from Gear directly to like a colored coin of some sort that holds dollars, or Tether or some other coin. And then some other company will be the one responsible for actually holding the dollars before you actually convert it out to a bank.
I see. Well, that's really neat. And I like how you mentioned that you're adding on, or probably going to work on the feature for a direct deposit in Bitcoin, because direct deposit, obviously, I just like companies that are adopting paying their employees in Bitcoin. Obviously, that's a big step in getting people to adopt Bitcoin, and it's a big way to use Bitcoin such that people will find out more ways to improve the system and applications on top of it. But also, like direct deposit in our current system, if you think about it, it's just another step of control. Again, not having to do anything with Bitcoin, but with the fiat traditional financial system, direct deposit is just another way for the government to kind of have its hands in your interaction with your employer, and having direct access to your bank account. And so having Bitcoin alternatives to that, I think, is pretty awesome.
Kind of makes me wonder why a lot of banks charge you a fee unless you have direct deposit. Is it because they want to have money, or is it because the government is asking to track your money?
Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. I've thought the same thing. I'm glad I'm not just crazy because when you said that is absolutely true. It's great hearing it from a smart guy like you.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. I'm crazy, and I do admit it.
Excellent. Well, we only get crazies here on the Crypto Show, and that's the only people we want. So we're coming to break with crazy Dimitri Rasa of Mycelium, and we'll be right back. So stay tuned. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Easy.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Crypto Show here on this lovely January 3rd, 2016, a Sunday. Brought to you, as always, by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements on this lovely Logos Radio Network.
You're lucky they went ahead and sponsored you again.
I know. By the grace of God, They
Yeah,
left
I heard
and came
about
back.
that.
Apparently everyone did but me. It's crazy. News travels fast, just not in my ears. Well, before we swish gears.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Thank you. Before we switch gears, two things. One, I'm going to, Danny, relate something here in a second. But before we even do that, Rossi, you said you were going to tell us what the original name for gear was.
Yeah, kind of a weird, funny, awkward story. Originally, gear was called Mycelium Straight. The idea was that any money paid to an account goes straight into your wallet, bypassing everybody. But we kind of thought that Mycelium Straight wouldn't really work too well in some countries where straight and gays kind of has its own connotations. So that's why we changed it to gear, because it's a little gear, you plug it into your website. And then, well, our company is actually based in Europe. In Austria, was mostly being run by our owners from Russia. So there's a lot of kind of a language, like things don't really know colloquialism much. So
that's so funny.
Okay, let's not do gear. Let's not do straight. Let's do gear. And then the next one we come out with Swish. So we kind of like went way in the other direction, because Swish is supposed to be for like very fast service, but Swish is kind of opposite of straight in a way.
Interesting. Well, maybe we'll switch gears into that in a moment, but that is a funny story. That's why they have you, though. That's excellent. You're a smart guy. You're a great spokesperson, but you also speak Russian and Ukrainian, right?
Yeah, and I also help them translate and avoid any kind of weird name issues.
Well, thank goodness. They definitely need all the talents in your bag of talents there. So you bring a lot to the table. That's why you're such a great fit, I think, as Mycelium spokesperson. And real quick, before we do talk about Swish, Danny, so right before we got to break, I had mentioned how, talking about Mycelium gear in the direct deposit feature, how direct deposit in fiat dollars in the traditional system, I think has a little bit of a darker potential aspect to it. And you had an experience that kind of backed that up. Just tell us about that real quick.
Yeah, so I went to deposit money into an account and actually had the same name, only he's junior. And so I'm putting $60 into his account, and they wanted my ID, and then, is this your account? No, it's not my account. Okay, well, you can't put cash into this. You have to transfer money from your account into his account so that we can, trace where the money came from. Or like, what? It's $60. Come on, give me a break.
And it's just cash. Like, again, if you're trying to withdraw, obviously, yeah, I have ID or whatever, but to deposit cash, what's wrong with that?
Oh, and you hear about the war on cash. Well, there it is.
That's a good point. And see, it's multifaceted. It's the war on cash. It's if we can't trace a transaction, we need to force you to do it in a way where we can trace it.
I did that right above our head here, actually, in this Chase Bank upstairs.
Really?
I handed her a $100 bill, and I asked for my change back in Bitcoin. And
oh God, you're just asking to be arrested.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's illegal now in banks to say that.
I do that everywhere I go. When I hand them cash,
I've seen you do it.
I ask for my change in Bitcoin.
It gets annoying. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's exciting.
There was a Wall Street Journal article about banks, big banks telling America's firms and wealthy holders they do not want your cash anymore. They're actually closing people's accounts, telling them move your money elsewhere because we don't want to deal with it. There's too many issues and regulations.
Oh my God.
So what kind of a world are we where banks do not want people's money?
Well said. What kind of world is it where the banks...
Bizarro land.
Yeah, they don't want your money anymore. And it's just terrifying because, even cash had an effect of, kind of like gold did, but obviously to a lesser extent, of limiting the fractional reserving that they could do. Because now it's just digital credit piled on digital credit. But yeah, beyond that, they're clearly wanting to get rid of cash because cash isn't traceable. That's why Bitcoin is so crucial.
I don't understand why it's terrifying. We're Bitcoiners. It should be exciting. It's awesome.
Well, I mean, it is exciting, but it's still terrifying because insofar as people are still stuck in the dollar system, and to some extent, as a Bitcoiner, I am too, it's problematic for that. And then I'll just put it this way. When it gets to that point, even if it's obviously good for Bitcoin, there's probably all sorts of attendant simultaneous political, things that will happen that won't be good. You know what I mean? When they finally get rid of cash, there could be other bad things in the works too. So we'll see. But,
we need to start giving anonymous donations to politicians in Bitcoin as soon as we can.
There you go.
They already accept it.
That's right.
Well, they accept it, but not anonymously under the table.
Yeah, right.
They need to start depending on it. Once they actually depend on it, then
Oh, there you go. Run it through CoinJoin.
Yeah,
and send it to them.
There you go.
Like Citizens United. Come to the politician's office, have a private meeting, give them 12 words, walk away. You're done.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't catch that the first time you said it. It's like just 12 words. I didn't bribe him. I didn't give a campaign donation. I just spoke 12 words to him. That's a really good point. I like that. Right. That's really good.
And for those who don't know what that means, he's talking about the passphrase.
Yeah, exactly. But that's brilliant. Like a brilliant way to evade any technicalities. You should write like Bitcoin fiction. Do you know what I mean? Like some post-apocalyptic Bitcoin fiction.
They really need to. What someone needs to work on is cooler passphrases, because some of the ones I've seen are pretty lame. Blue fish run, dove, whatever.
Well, it's kind of the point. They're not supposed to remember it. I mean, if it's something, well, yeah.
They can have a little more action, though.
Do something like burlesque, or I don't know, sexier.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I mean, all those words come from a gigantic list, which was set up in BIP44, I believe. We should set up another list that's entirely curse words. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's great. That's a great idea. And we'll have you read them on the show next time you're on.
No, we can't do that.
Can't do that, probably not. Well, let's switch gears, and let's talk about Swish. Now, I think you said off air, Swish is kind of still in the works, but tell us what it is you're working on.
And by the way, Chris walks with a Swish half of the time. Only half the time.
It's a payment system for like merchants and restaurants, mainly. We came up with a video which basically demonstrates what it is. It's a way for you to scan a QR code from any kind of advertisement. It'll automatically pop up to the merchant's payment system. You can right there order what you want, pay for it with Bitcoin. And on the merchant system, they'll know what was ordered, and that it was paid for. And by the time you actually get to that store, you already have your meal ready to pick up. Or if you're at the restaurant, it's a way to pay for your food directly at the table, right at the menu.
It's pretty good.
Basically a point-of-sale system that's not limited to the point-of-sale terminal. It can be kind of extended to the user's phone.
So basically, like a restaurant, say, wouldn't need to invest in the hardware of a point-of-sale system. They could just have the QR codes on the menu or something, or wherever around the restaurant, and you could just use your own device that has downloaded an application and order it right there.
Yeah, something like that. And then they'll also obviously need their own device running to actually receive these payments and orders too.
Well, I guess that's true. Good point. But they don't necessarily need, say, and I still think this is cool, and this will probably be around a long time. You'll have some restaurants where the server comes with like a tablet and they're taking your order that way. But now the server doesn't have to even worry about that. You can just send it through Swish, and then all the server has to worry about is, getting the order from the kitchen and bringing it out to you.
Yeah, and the ad, it was even the QR code could be up on a billboard as you're driving someplace, and you say, "Hey, I want to get some of that," and you just order it right there. Well, you're a passenger, not you, while you're driving. So you just scan the QR code off the billboard, create the order. By the time you get to the restaurant, it's already ready for you.
Hey, I have a really interesting idea, real quick. What if it was something like what's that app where you like swipe left and right if you like somebody?
Oh, Tinder.
Tinder. Yeah. What if you had a Tinder thing where someone had a QR code like on their shirt or something, and if you liked them, you just like scanned it and then it sent them like a hello message or something. I think I'm onto something.
With some Bitcoins.
Mycelium, contact me later, Ross, so we can discuss that business proposition later for Mycelium.
Yeah. Have you used Menufy?
No.
Basically, it's a restaurant app, almost like here in Austin. Just about every Asian restaurant in town accepts Bitcoin through Menufy. So you go there. When you use CoinMap, it'll come up as this restaurant or that restaurant. And when you click on it, it'll have a Menufy menu, and you pay for it through there.
Okay.
So,
that's into that.
What I'm saying, when you were talking about having a QR code up on a billboard, I mean, there's already something like that with Menufy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of the things we were making, somebody already has it.
But in a more limited way. Swish seems to be more applicable and ubiquitous. And real quick as we come to break, and just to clarify too, so of course, like you said, you can order something from, say, an advertisement and have it ready for you to pick up. Could you do that at a retail store too? Not just with food, but say you see a pair of Nike sneakers and maybe it's 25% off on the advertisement. Can you click on the QR code there? It takes 25% off, and then maybe they have it paid for and checked out and ready up at the front for you? Do you know what I'm saying?
Probably. I mean, I think Swish is, like most of our tools, is just a tool that you can set up to do whatever you want. So initially it'll be specifically geared for a point-of-sale system for restaurants, but probably anybody can pick it up and have it do whatever they want to. Like, maybe Las Vegas can set it up for their bunny ranch, and you can pick whoever you want, and they'll be ready for you when you get there.
That's what I was saying. See, he gets it. No, and you're right. that's I'm kind of taking it to a level where Swish is so versatile. They're going to be retail outlets probably doing that, using Swish to allow ease of shopping where you don't even have to wait through a long line. You just pay in the advertisement with Swish. You pay for it. Someone has a front counter. You can pick it up. I think that's a great technology.
I can definitely see this at really high-end stores, too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be right back with Rasa of Mycelium. All right, guys, welcome.
So pumped.
Yeah, there's what?
And our big man Chris. And
call me fat, Cody. Get out of here! I'm sick of you. He's Cody Wilson's thoughts. I know, right? Not everyone can be that fit as Cody.
There's more of Crystal love.
Thanks, thank you, Rasa. Rasa gets it. There's a lot of people who don't. They just make fun of my condition. But you know what? I'm big boned, exactly. But you know what? There's just it's just like a big teddy bear. There's more of me to love. And Cody Wilson, I hope you get that one day instead of harassing me constantly. No, but welcome back, guys, to the Crypto Show here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. Don't forget, January 20th, Wednesday, Keep It Weird Wednesdays begin again at Brave New Books. All sorts of hip hop, rap, jazz, comedy, and other stuff with JCTV. We may have him on for
what the heck is rap jazz?
Rap jazz. Rap jazz. You're too old. You're not hip. You're not with it.
But how can Brave New Books get more weirder?
I know, you'd think, right? But they just took it up a notch, and they just keep pushing that envelope, and they made it a little bit weirder. Not by much. It's marginal, but it's there.
Maybe I'll start selling flat Earth conspircy books.
There you go.
I got all the other ones.
They have them.
Oh, jeez. Like I said, how can they get any weirder?
No, I don't know.
Hey, I'm
making that up.
I say I keep an open mind, But we are talking with Dmitry Rasimrashik of Mycelium. And by the way, in case you don't know how to spell mycelium, it's MyCelium, MyCelium.com. And you can check out all their products. You can check out their team with the little circular photos. Dimitri's looks pretty cool. He looks suave in this like white jacket. And I like how Daniel Krawitz is just a shadow silhouette because he's a mystery man. But
and the wallet is actually really cheap to download. So
is it free?
I don't know. How much is the wallet, Rasa?
About 40 kilobytes.
No, I mean, what does it cost? What does it cost to download it?
However much it costs to download that many kilobytes.
Wow! That's a low price!
He just wanted you to say some, dollar amount.
Sorry.
He wanted you to say
zero Bitcoins.
Okay.
0 Satoshis.
That's a low price.
How about I say just a donation of $5? Sorry. There
you go. And can you donate to Mycelium?
Yes, you can donate to Mycelium by going to thecryptoshow.com and donating to their wallet.
There you go.
We actually, it was really messed up. We had a donation link on our help, like in the wallet, you go to help about us, and there's a little donation button. And Google Play actually took our app off of their store for about 2 weeks. We weren't sure exactly why, but we found out it's because if you want to be able to accept donations through your website, through your app, you have to be registered charity.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, wow.
That's ridiculous. But you still have the donation button on your actual website, right?
Yeah.
Just not through the app.
I think so. We just changed our website, so I'm sure it's there someplace.
Oh, okay. Well, poo-poo Google. That's kind of silly, but at least it's still there on the website. Well, and so we've been talking about all the cool stuff Mycelium's got going. Of course, their wallet, which is highly customizable for people with a little bit more advanced knowledge when it comes to cryptocurrency. We got Gear, which is basically creates invoices without using third parties. We have Swish, which allows you, say, to order at a restaurant or order from an advertisement that you see while out, and you can go to pick it up, your order at the restaurant ready for you. Really cool stuff. And now I want to talk about Mycelium Card, which I was talking to Brian from Factum earlier, and he was like all excited that we were going to talk to you about that. Like he's really looking forward to it. I've never seen him look that excited.
It doesn't take a lot to get Brian excited.
No, apparently not.
Pizza with more than one topping, and Brian goes nuts.
Well, that's the same with me.
We have been perpetually excited about the card for like 5 years straight now. We're just so waiting for it to come out.
Yeah, I think the card isn't even about adding a technology feature. I think it's just about getting Brian hooked on some idea, and they're just going to tease him forever.
And I've been waiting for a while to get mine from my, what is it? I forget what
eCoin, or eCoin rather. Yeah.
Well, they sent it out, but my friend in Mexico hasn't sent it to me yet.
So it's not their fault.
No, it's not their fault.
Okay, let's make that clear.
Yes. Apparently, you should find friends who don't drink so much.
All right. Is he in Acapulco?
Yeah.
Well, we'll get it next month, couple months. There you
Right.
go. Ooh, I need to get my passport.
Yeah, you better get your passport.
Remind me this week, by the way.
If you don't, I know a coyote that'll sneak you across.
Good enough. Well, remind me this week. Well, so let's talk about Mycelium Card. What is Mycelium Card?
It's a hardware Bitcoin wallet, full battery, buttons, display, the whole deal. But it's about the size and thickness of a credit card, also flexible and waterproof. And it comes with its own built-in radio that can connect to any other card or a device within vicinity. So it doesn't actually require an internet connection by itself. As long as somebody around you has an internet connection, you can connect, send money, and
the near-field
transact.
stuff?
No, it's not near. It's like 300 meters or so. It's actually, the card is designed to be a mesh network card. It just won't be mesh networked until we get a battery technology to support it keeping online all the time. Right now, you can't really keep it on all the time because it'll drain. And since you can't keep it on all the time, you can't really establish a mesh network.
Now, a mesh network is kind of like creating your own independent mini internet between users, right?
Instead of a hub and spoke where you have a hub and everybody connects to that hub, with a mesh network, everybody connects to everybody. And as long as one person someplace is connected to the internet, everybody else can bounce their messages between all the cards to get to the internet as well.
And so, I guess explain again, though, how does it actually connect to the internet? So it's within proximity of somebody with a Wi-Fi, and it just picks up on it, the network?
Yep. Or a dongle that's connected to the internet, yeah.
And do you have a way of putting in the password to connect, or how does that work?
No, it uses its own. It's not Wi-Fi. It uses its own custom radio.
Okay, interesting.
Because Wi-Fi doesn't really reach that far, unfortunately.
Okay,
And,
this just got a whole lot cooler.
Yeah.
I was expecting a debit card.
Yeah, it doesn't reach as far. It doesn't. The whole spectrum is really clogged up because your microwave is in the exact same spectrum as your Wi-Fi. So this is totally separate, so it can do a much further reach. And the idea is that it's.
Go ahead.
The idea is that as long as there's a dongle within 300 meters, or you're within some range of somebody else who's within a range of somebody else who's within a range of somebody else who's connected to that dongle, then everybody can use Bitcoin.
Are we allowed to say dongle on here?
I think so.
Okay.
So check the George Carlin list to make sure.
Dingle? I don't know. Kind of like Fire Chat for Bitcoin, essentially, but on its own device.
That's really neat. And so,
what does that cost? What's the price on that?
We don't have the cost yet. We are trying to keep it very low because the idea here is to make Bitcoin available for, original idea was to make Bitcoin be usable in places that have without requiring infrastructure. So you could charge it off of a solar panel. You don't need an internet connection to use Bitcoin. Drop a bunch of these guys at some village in Africa someplace. As long as one thing is connected to the internet, everybody can use Bitcoin.
Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, wow. So places with little infrastructure, or like, if you go out to the national park or something, and maybe someone has a little snack stand or something, you can pay with Bitcoin. That's really neat.
And I do believe they support offline transactions as well, where both parties store the signed transaction until one of them gets to broadcast it. I'm not entirely sure how we keep the security for that, because if you know the private key, you can double spend, of course. I think we keep the private key kind of private.
You need to find that out. I'm just kidding.
Wow. Yeah. We are kind of switching gears a little bit. There's too much gear in this. We're switching gears, yeah. We're actually we added support for colored coin in the card, so now you can send colored coin assets, like dollars, euros, stuff like that. And right now our idea is to try to get things like Visa replaced with this card where you can store your colored coin balance directly on the card, your dollars, see your whole transaction history, and spend money directly as opposed to going through a Visa network.
Wow, and so it would be great for merchants because you wouldn't have to have the credit card fee that would be associated with all that, right?
Yeah, and because of that, we're also hoping to get banks to actually invest in it and start using that as their card. Because the thing is exactly the same shape and thickness as a credit card, so you can technically also put a magnetic strip on it. And it does come, like you've seen pin and chip cards, right?
Yeah.
It has a chip on it, which is the USB port that you use to charge it or to connect it to the internet or back it up. But you can also program that chip to do other things, like you can make it a hotel key card or a chip that's used in like subways and stuff. So you can actually, besides just using it for Bitcoin and colored coin like dollars and euros. You can also use it for hotel stuff. You can use it for transportation. You can use it for like tickets to some events or something.
Wow, so really multi-purpose and reprogrammable for other things. That's really cool.
Yeah.
And were there any regulatory hurdles, or are there going to be with the colored coin fiat transfers, or what's the issue with that?
Well, that's the beauty of colored coin. We're not the one doing the backing, so we're not the one who
good point.
deal with the regulatory.
That's a good point.
Like I said, we're trying to avoid any kind of liability stuff on these.
Awesome. Well, and so it's going to be storage. What? How much storage does it have, or is that kind of irrelevant because you're just storing a tiny bit of data for your Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's just a tiny bit of data for the Bitcoin store. Well, your history, your contacts, private keys, signing private keys, and that's about it. I mean,
and what's the security on it? I mean, like, do you have? I mean, how do you? I guess explain how it works. Like, how do I accept and receive a Bitcoin? Can you take us kind of through the process, or?
Well, an example, as a merchant, I can on my interface with the internet connected dongle, I can say, okay, this restaurant menu comes up. I mean, this order comes out to so-and-so amount. This is order number, say 88, and I say submit, and then I just come to the table and tell the guys your order number is 88, and give them the receipt. And then they would just turn on the card, tell it to scan for order number 88. It'll come out saying this is so many dollars, pay to this address. You just say confirm, and it broadcasts directly from your card to their dongle. Or if we meet person to person, I can also create a request directly on my card asking you to pay so-and-so amount, and then you can create a payment, add my address to your address book, and so on.
So there is a little interface and like buttons or whatever, I guess, or I see.
It's like I said, it's a credit card, but it has buttons, it has a motherboard, it has a display and a battery, and all of those are flexible. And that's the reason why it took so long to make, because unfortunately the hardware is still catching up to the idea.
That's pretty awesome. Doesn't sound easy. We'll be right back, guys.
Now.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
For the longest time.
Welcome back to the Crypto Show, guys. The last three segments here on this lovely January 3rd, 2016, here on Logos Radio Network, brought to you as always by Brave New Books and Hill Country Home Improvements. Don't forget January 20th at Brave New Books. Keep It Weird Wednesdays. Stay tuned for more on that. We're talking with Ross of Mycelium, mycelium.com, MYCELIUM. And it's also time for
the magic word.
The magic word.
For the LTB listeners, the magic word is swish.
Swish.
As in C. Chris Swish.
C. Chris Swish.
SWISH.
SWISH is your Let's Talk Bitcoin magic word. C. Chris, run. You'd never see me run. Too fat. Right?
I can't imagine you swish either. I'm sorry.
Oh, come on. I thought you were on my side.
I am, but I'm just having trouble imagining.
Well, you know what? Next time you're in Austin, I'm going to have to swish for you in person.
Oh, we can compete in that department.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, I'll need a few beers first, though. But I'm sure we can make that.
Yeah, be sure to bring a Hillary sweater. He dances.
My
great.
husband might be a little jealous, though.
Oh, that's okay. I make a lot of people jealous. It's my physique. It's
true. You are very cuddly.
I'm a bear. Yeah. All right, let's get back. Let's get back to the topic at hand.
Crypto Show After Dark.
What wasn't there a USA Network show After Dark thing? You know what I'm talking about? I don't remember. Anyway, we were talking with Dimitri Rasa of Mycelium, and we've been discussing all the cool existing and future Mycelium products that are available or going to be available: gear, Swish, and card. And card is still in the works, you said, right? Because you said the hardware is actually still catching up with the demands of the technology you want.
Yeah, we have most of the cards are actually the technology is pretty much done. We're just trying to get a mass production and market niche worked out.
When will we be receiving one here at the Crypto Show so we can tell everybody about it?
Originally, we were hoping to release them this past summer, but more delays as hardware as always. So, maybe second half of 2016, but we can't really make any promises, unfortunately.
We could really use one here because the Wi-Fi is horrible at Brave New Books.
Well, I can't comment on that, but even if it is, everything else at Brave New Books is absolutely fantastic, including actually some cool tactical flashlights. I have one that are available at Brave New Books for really cheap. They're only like 3 inches long, just perfect for sitting in your hand, but in elsewhere, in your pocket, for instance. But A really powerful light. I mean, a light as powerful as like those big mag lights. I'm not even kidding. This is a cool product. Come check it out at Brave New Books. What's the brand on that? Nebo? The Nebo is the brand. And then John Bush says hello, by the way.
Oh, hey, John.
He says hey back.
I was going to say, don't you have like a whole lot of health stuff maybe you can pour into your Wi-Fi router, like Tangerine or whatever, make it work a little better?
Yeah, we just need to add a little more Tangerine to the Wi-Fi.
He said to
the router and all.
pour Tangy into the router, and it should fix it.
That's his expert opinion.
Yep.
Anyway, so hopefully towards the end of this year, a mycelium card should be available. Be sure to have one, what do you call it, inscribed to Brian of Factum. He would really get a kick out of that, I think. But so we look forward to that. And a Swish is still in the works, right?
Yeah.
But mycelium gear is available right now.
Yes. Yep. Free product.
We'll be putting it on the website. So
awesome. Perfect. And of course, the wallet also available right now. Wow, that's such cool stuff in the works. Well, another cool thing that technically has already happened, but I'm wondering if it's going to happen again, is mycelium entropy. Now, before you tell us about the potential future of mycelium entropy, tell our listeners what mycelium entropy is.
It's a little USB drive with a computer on it. It's a secure hardware computer. When you plug it into a printer's USB port, the computer turns on, does its little magic, generates a private key and a public key, and then creates a fake USB partition, like fake USB drive with a JPEG on it. So your printer sees the JPEG, you select the JPEG, hit print, and you get a paper wallet that's never touched the internet, and that has been created using actual real entropy.
And so this partition, this basically prevents, it sections off the hard drive and prevents the rest of the hard drive from accessing that part of it?
No, it just, when you plug it into anything, it just looks like a regular USB drive with a picture on it, a JPEG. So if you plug it into your computer, it'll just look like a regular USB drive with a JPEG, but every time you plug it in, you get a completely different JPEG.
Oh, I see. Interesting. That's pretty cool. So that's just kind of a way to hide what its kind of true nature is if you don't already know what it is?
No, it's a way to create paper wallets in a completely secure way that have never touched anything connected to the internet. Remember, it used to be like, if you want to create a safe way to store Bitcoin, you have to go to this website, download this bitaddress.org, turn your computer off, disconnect it from the network, boot it up in some secure way, then print it up, go through all that process. And here you just plug in a USB into your printer, you see a paper wallet, you hit print, you're done.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, you can go to like the wiki page for cold storage, and it's like 40 different steps, and it takes seems like it would take 3 hours just to set up a cold storage.
What's the little button on the back for?
Oh, it's if you want to make more wallets, you can press a button, or if you hold the button down and you plug it into your computer, it turns on like a settings mode where you can go and make it into an HD wallet or a Litecoin wallet or a multi-sig wallet, stuff like that.
I'm actually holding one here in my hand. So.
Oh,
yeah, I was going to say, John Bush actually got one, I guess from was it a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign?
Indiegogo. Yeah, I remember actually sending him one. Yeah, that was pretty hilarious. I was at the Texas Bitcoin conference, so I wasn't keeping an eye on what's going on Reddit. But there's this big flame starting up where, oh my God, all these mycelium entropy devices that we ordered from, Canada or someplace in the U.S., which originally were supposed to come from Vienna, Austria, all of them were shipped from a location just 15 minutes north of NSA headquarters. It's like,
oh, yeah. I remember reading about that when I was getting ready for the show.
My device from Austria to Canada go through NSA. What's going on? And then much later in the evening, I had to tell people, hey, I live in Baltimore. I'm just 15 minutes north of, NSA headquarters. But yeah, I was the one who shipped it all to U.S. and Canada locations.
Well, we need somebody there to keep an eye on them.
Exactly. Well, no, and that was pretty crazy. I didn't know about that until I was doing a little research the past day or two. And yeah, I mean, come on, guys, trust me. I mean, like I'm as paranoid as it gets when it comes to the government. But it's just the fact that he happened. That part of the country, the Eastern Seaboard, is one of the densest parts of urban centers in the world. Certainly in this country. So if you live in the Baltimore D.C. area, you're sort of de facto close to NSA, even though if you think about it, because the population's so dense, it's really not as close as you think. In other words, like, yeah, if it were like in the, the vast wastelands of Texas, not wastelands, but you know what I'm saying, it would seem a lot closer. But obviously when you're in a dense urban center, that's just the way it is. Anyway, that's pretty,
they're right off the highway. So pretty much everybody drives right past them like every single day.
And they probably want it that way. They probably strategically placed themselves on the highway so they could like scan the cars as they go by.
I don't know. They don't look very friendly. Every time you drive by, there's guards, Humvees, construction cones, do not enter signs on that specific exit, all that kind of stuff.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I was looking at the numbers on our SoundCloud, and we get a lot of listens from right there in that area, and also in was it Utah?
Yeah.
They always seem to be right smack dab where the NSA centers are. It's so weird. I don't know what to think of that.
They're big fans.
That's where all our listeners come from, the NSA.
Well, these guys are archived forever and ever and ever. So if you ever lose copies, just call them up.
Yeah,
that's a good point. I never thought about that. That's very encouraging.
Oh, that's a great idea. Some of our earlier ones aren't archived.
That's true. We'll call up. I'll see if William Binney still has any contacts back at the NSA.
I doubt it.
Probably not. Well, we're coming to break with Rasa of Mycelium, and I guess what I was trying to get at, though, and just forgive my ignorance, when you said it creates a fake partition, and I should have prefaced that with the fact that Mycelium is a cold storage device. Is that part of the security in creating the cold storage, or what's the purpose of that?
No, the cold storage is a paper wallet that you print. So you print a paper wallet and you send money directly to that paper wallet. The device isn't for storing; it's only for generating new paper wallets.
Oh, okay, right. I think that's what I'm confusing that. I knew it was for paper wallets, but I keep confusing that with an actual USB wallet versus the paper wallet generator. I see. I'm sorry.
It just comes up as a USB drive.
That's right. That's what I'm confusing myself, even though I know better. Anyway, we're talking with Ross of Mycelium. We'll be right back here on the Crypto Show, so stay tuned. Got a couple more segments left.
Got a hard job.
If you saw a neighbor struggling with heavy furniture, would you stop and offer to help? One man did and got a huge surprise. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back with a tale of the Good Samaritan and the heavy TV next.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
Imagine you're coming home from work when you see someone lugging a huge TV down the sidewalk. Would you pity the guy and help out, or would you drive on past? One Delaware Good Samaritan did the right thing when he lent a hand to a stranger struggling to carry a flat-screen TV. Then he noticed this. The door of his house was ajar, and the television was his. Picture the scene. Thief and victim lock stairs. Thief dumps the TV and bolts. Victim chases thief, dialing 911 on his cell phone. Police respond quickly and nab the thief and his getaway driver. The moral to the story? Lend a hand. Some good might come of it. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
Actually be kidding about chemtrails.
Looking for some truth? You found it. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
I've been walking a tightrope between fact and fiction. Been wrestling with demons in small bottle prisons. Been talking to sinners who claim to be Christian. Been shouting at leaders who claim to be listening. And the pendulum swings from...
Welcome back to the Crypto Show, guys, here on this lovely January 3rd, 2016. And if you're listening real close, you're hearing the lovely sounds of singer-songwriter Jordan Page, libertarian, Bitcoin enthusiast, and he will be playing here at Brave New Books.
Lover of the song Freebird. Anytime you see him, be sure to ask him to play Freebird.
But never ask him to play Stairway. No Stairway allowed.
He does a version of Stairway to Freebird that's pretty cool.
Is that for real?
Yes,
I want to hear that.
Yeah.
It's like some sort of like...
and he'll be playing at Brave New Books on the 9th.
On the 9th.
On January 9th.
Probably, 7 p.m., I imagine? Do you know what day of the week that is? That's, hold on. Should be Saturday. This coming Saturday, January 9th, Jordan Page, Brave New Books. Check it out. Don't forget, Keep It Weird Wednesdays. January 20th resumes hip-hop, rap, jazz, comedy, cool stuff with JC of JCTV. And we're talking with someone a little less entertaining. No, I'm just kidding.
Who, you?
Me. Someone equally entertaining, but in a far more intellectual way. Rasa of Mycelium. And we were just talking about the Entropy device, which, again, is a little USB drive that creates paper wallets. And I was getting myself slightly confused when I was asking a question about it. But real quick, before we get on to a couple questions, I have more about Entropy. You kind of did it already, but take us through a run through of if someone has Entropy, how easy is it to create a paper wallet? What exactly do they have to do?
They get a print. Well, if you have a printer that has a USB port in the front, it lets you print photos. You plug that Entropy into that USB port, wait for the printer to detect the photo, select it, hit print, and you got a paper wallet.
That's it?
That's it.
It's that easy?
Yep. And if you want another one, you unplug it and plug it back in, or you just press a button.
And can it create like a sort of an infinite number of paper wallets, or?
Yeah. It actually uses the reason it's called Mycelium Entropy is because it's one of the few devices that uses an actual true source of entropy. The memory chip that's on it, it's SRAM. When you plug it in and it powers up for the first time, it gets completely covered up with noise. Generally, you're supposed to clear that noise before you start using it, like zero it all out. But we use that noise as a source of entropy, and there are academic papers published on that proving that it is actual really, really good source of entropy. It's like overkill. And I've ran into a lot of memes about this, but like the amount of entropy that Bitcoin needs, I believe, is about 250 or so bits. And when people ask me how much does entropy does, it is literally over 9,000.
Wow, that is
just
overkill.
A little bit over 9,000.
That's literally like, if I'm doing the math right, like 36 times the entropy needed. That's pretty impressive.
Needless to say, I ran into a lot of Dragon Ball Z memes while advertising it.
I'm going
to
pretend like I know what that means.
Okay. Vegeta going, it's over 9,000 was, never mind.
Oh, I was never a big, don't get me wrong, like I probably would have been, but I never really got exposed to Dragon Ball Z or like anime or anything. So I never.
Honestly, you're not missing much with that one. Sorry.
Oh, really? Oh, well, I have a lot of friends who love it. So it's just when I see memes, I don't get it. But I'm sure a lot of our listeners did. No, that's really cool. I think that's brilliant. There's actual scientific papers on how entropic that initial noise is, and the fact that y'all utilized what for any other purpose would be not harmful, but just a stumbling block for getting a memory device going. Like I think that's a brilliant innovation on something that otherwise people would have thought was useless.
Yep. And we also did a bunch of tests for like putting it in the freezer to see how cold it can get, exposing it to various magnetic fields. If you read the instruction booklet for it, with the like caution, do not seduce so and so. I kind of wrote that, but it's like things like don't use it above the Arctic Circle because at that point the magnetic field will start messing with it too much. Don't use it in outer space because it's too cold and there's too much radiation and it'll like probably make it too predictable and that kind of stuff.
Don't worry, no one's been to outer space yet anyway. What? Anyway, no, that's really cool. And have you swallowed it though and seen if it works properly?
Yeah, it says like if you swallow it, it may cause entropy in the user.
Oh, that was really good. I didn't even set that up. See, I told you Rosso was a comedian. That's awesome. Well, okay, so y'all had was it an Indiegogo?
Yeah.
You had an Indiegogo Kickstarter. I think y'all raised quite a bit of money. How many were sent out from that?
We didn't even make enough to cover the what we needed. We were able to order 1,000. Unfortunately, 200 of them had issues, so we had to fix them manually, and we sold about 940 or 980 or so. Yeah. Kickstarter, actually, originally we applied to Kickstarter, but they denied us because they do not support financial services, which we're like, what?
Which, yeah, well, we had we had issues with some of the major fundraising platforms too. We were doing a fundraiser for Ross Ulbricht, so that doesn't surprise me that they have these weird prohibitions or restrictions or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we're like, it's a random number generator. How is this a financial service? And we're like, denied.
Well, it's just like the government with anything. There's a famous case. I think I brought this up before recently, where the government sued a chicken farmer because he wasn't selling his chickens. And they used the Constitution's interstate commerce clause to say that because he's not selling his chickens on the open national market, that's affecting interstate commerce. So he was successfully sued for not selling his chickens. In other words, the government. Yeah, this is for real. I forget the case. I'll look it up if anyone really cares. But this is a real case. And so my point is, I'm sure they're doing it with some government pressure or fear of government reprisal. And it's the same sort of thing where it's like, you draw a dollar sign on a piece of paper and suddenly you're a financial institution.
There's funniest thing is there's probably a douchebag out there someplace who's really proud that he came up with that idea.
Probably
got a raise.
I know. And I hope he gets what he deserves in the next life. Cause, otherwise, it's ridiculous that, those kind of bureaucrats are out there. But, anyway, unfortunately but it still was a success. You got, you sold over 900 of them.
Yeah,
and
we're still getting requests. They are. We didn't actually raise enough money to cover the initial production, but they are. They do pay for themselves, so they're one of the products that we can actually keep selling and keep making money to keep selling more. So we have ordered a batch of 4,000 more, and it's in production right now. Or if it's
That's
not yet,
awesome.
it should be soon.
4,000 more are in production.
What's the price?
Should be the same $40.
That's it.
We might go lower eventually. Yeah.
That is a fantastic price. I mean, if you want to, for having a real, true, Entropic cold storage protection for your Bitcoin, and in what sounds like it takes less than 5 minutes or probably a minute.
That sounds easier than logging on to bit address.
Yeah, we test which printers work for with me going to Best Buy and Micro Center and just plug it into a printer, hit print, take it out, plug it into another printer, hit print, take it out. We want to see which printers it works for, and I don't have all these printers, so I just go to Best Buy and just quickly plug it in, and it takes me a couple of seconds to get all these printers to make paper wallets.
Wow.
Doesn't the printer keep a copy of that in its hard drive, though?
No, the cheap printers don't have hard drives. They have memory that stores metadata, like this is the file name that was printed from this location at so-and-so date, but not the actual image.
Oh, so it's the large office printers that do that?
Yeah, the large office printers do that, but the small ones don't.
Okay, so in general, with the smaller printers, you don't have to worry about any compromise in your data or whatever.
Nope.
That's awesome.
I've seen that deal where the guy was going around buying them from the auctions and then stealing all of the data off these large printers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from all their personal information from everything that was ever printed on the printer.
That's smart, though. That makes a lot of sense. Wow, people out there are clever, I have to say. Well,
and if you're paranoid, you can do the Office Space fax machine thing.
Take it out, take a hammer to it.
Yeah, play some rap, beat the crap out of it. Yep.
Darn, it feels good to be a gangsta. God, that's great.
Yeah.
Danny was actually in that movie.
Yeah, I'm actually in that movie.
Really?
Yeah. I'm one of the construction workers in the background in the fire scene, and I actually supplied all of the material for the burnout scene. Basically, one of my neighbor's houses burnt down, and I grabbed all the ashes and sold it to the movie.
Easy.
No coughing before I speak. No, I'm just kidding. Welcome back to the Crypto Show. I thought you didn't have any Arnold on there. Well, that's a pleasant surprise. Happy New Year to you too, Danny. Right. I love Arnold soundboards. I would literally play them for hours. Like, he's not a tuba. Give me the chopper. Anyway, get out. God, Ross is like, he's just rolling his eyes, waiting for us to shut up.
I love Arnold.
Who doesn't? Come on. Anyway, we're talking with Rasa here in the final segment, spokesman for Mycelium, talking about all their cool products, gear, Swish, Card, and Entropy. And just to cap it off, you said that up to 4,000 are in pre-production, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to go for about $40, possibly less in the future, which is a steal. If you want to create your own paper wallets, $40 for long-term security of your assets is, I can't think of a better bargain. I mean, you can't get a good safe to store your gold for that little, that's for sure. If you're an establishment that takes Bitcoin, you can also use it as a service for creating paper wallets for your customers, charge a little fee. I think it's a brilliant.
I had requests from Bitcoin ATMs providers to convert it to make it little paper wallets for them too.
That's a brilliant idea. Yeah, absolutely. So what an incredible piece of technology. And so do we know how soon any of them might be available?
Unfortunately not. Probably end of spring, but not entirely sure yet.
Is there like a waiting list or anything that you can put us at the top?
Not yet. No.
If there is, can you put us at the top?
Sure.
Cool.
I'll probably come visit. Why not?
Okay, there you go.
I need an excuse.
He'll bring it to us himself. I like that. Thanks, Rasa. Well, that's really awesome. Mycelium, what a great company. What a great team. Even Scrooge McAltcoin, even he can be said to be a great team member. No, I'm just kidding. No, Daniel Kravitz, great, brilliant guy. Also, a wonderful addition to the team. He's going to help them with CoinJoin, and they're going places. So check out mycelium.com, mycelium.com, Card Swish, Entropy, and Gear, and of course their wallet. Excuse me. Let's switch gears again. Sorry, last time. I like that.
Better not be last time. I hope you. How much do I have to pay you to say that every show?
That's a good advertising. All right. Well, there you go. We should get into like a deal where they pay us like 5 cents every time we say it. I could totally do that. Well,
brought to you by Swish, not Carl's Jr.
Nice. Well, let's switch gears and forget about Mycelium. Who cares? Who cares about Bitcoin? That's old hat. Rasa, you're from originally the Ukraine, which is hard to tell when we talk to you because your English is just impeccable. better than mine, that's for sure. But you are from Ukraine. Excuse me. You
mean the Ukraine, right?
No, just why is it Ukraine and not the Ukraine?
Why is it Mexico and not the Mexico, or Canada and not the Canada? The portion actually came out as kind of a derogatory term of calling it, because Ukraine is a country, but in Russian, Ukraina is a border of something, so Russians kind of refer to it as a borderlands. So in a way, it kind of became like the borderlands, which were not really a country, but kind of part of their own country on the borderlands or something. Whereas Ukrainians are like, this is, a country called Ukraine. We live here. It's not nobody's borderlands or whatever.
No, that's a good point. You forget those subtleties in English, especially when you're a native speaker. Sometimes you need someone from outside the English-speaking world to point those subtleties out. But you're right. If you think about the Ukraine versus Ukraine, it sort of diminishes it and treats it as if it's just, like you said, a province of a bigger country rather than its own independent country and state. And
it's basically a 1,000-year fight between Russians and Ukrainians in a way. You were asked one thing. You were saying that what last show I was listening to, by the way, you're saying that ISIS is kind of the American-made thing. Well, the best way to describe the whole thing was going on between Ukraine and Russia is Ukraine is Russia's ISIS, essentially. So most of the stuff that you hear about this scary stuff going on over there, it's really it's not for you guys. It's for Russians to be afraid, because Russia needs some enemies right now.
So are you saying that, like, when there's these skirmishes or at least diplomatic tensions between Ukraine and Russia, that a lot of it is maybe created by Russia for Russian public consumption to get the Russians scared? Or just to clarify, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, Ukraine doesn't care much about what's going on in Russia at all. I guess maybe some history might help. I think I mentioned it in the car. Ukraine was founded about 300 years before Russia was. And then Russia, when the whole Mongolian invasion happened from Asia, it went all the way through, all the way up to Ukraine. And countries were given a choice, or kings, join us or be destroyed. Russia said, we'll join you. Ukraine said, fuck off, or bleep off.
You can say that.
Sorry.
But, yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that. So basically, Ukraine was destroyed at that point. The kingdom of Ukraine was destroyed, while Russia remained under Mongolian control for quite a while. After a while, the Mongol Empire fell apart. There was like some infighting with the family and stuff. And the Russian nobility at that point, they didn't really want to have the history of being connected to these wild savages, Mongolians or whatever. They wanted to be more European, so they actually created their own history as if they came from Ukraine, even though Ukraine was founded like 300 years before that. So in their the history that they created was that Ukraine was founded, then it expanded into Russia, and that Russia and Ukraine is the exact same country. And ever since then, Russians believe in that Ukraine is part of their country and want it back. From the Ukrainian side, the guy who founded Russia, he was basically broke off from the Russian family and Ukrainian family, started his own country, which at the time was called Moscovichi, promptly attacked Ukraine and got his butt kicked. And then for hundreds of years, Russia kept invading Ukraine, and Ukraine kept fighting it off. And Ukraine was in Poland, and Turks or Tatars, or basically it was a country that was attacked from all sides, and it kept fighting it off and trying to was fervently trying to be independent from everybody. So for 1,000 years, Russians believed that Ukraine is part of their country, whereas Ukraine believes that they're an independent country, and Russia is just this butthole who keeps trying to come in and invade them and sack them.
Russia should have threatened to send them Ayn Rand.
You're right.
And what more recently happened was eastern part of Ukraine, they discovered a whole lot of shale gas, which Shell and Chevron, I believe, started actually developing. And if they would have been finished developing it, then Ukraine would have had enough gas to break Russia's monopoly in providing gas to Europe.
And don't the Russian gas pipelines go through Ukraine or some of them?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so that would have, exactly.
So Ukraine would have basically been like, well, we can sell gas for cheaper than Russia. And that's exactly where the fighting is going on right now, right over those lands. So Shell Gas pulled out, obviously Chevron pulled out. And unfortunately, that didn't help Russia because oil prices crashed quite a bit too.
Yeah, and so did the ruble, like 50%.
That was more like 80 or 90. It was almost as bad as Bitcoin. It was horrible. So all of that crashed. The government has been stealing, hundreds of billions of dollars from its citizens every year. I think, or almost $100 billion a year. So
through what?
All of a sudden,
through taxation, or what do you mean?
Partly taxation, partly because a lot of the businesses in Russia are government owned. Like all the oil is government owned, a lot of the media is government owned. You can't really do much without government allowing you, more or less.
Maybe a more accurate description would be the Ukraine is Russia's Mexico.
Ukraine.
Yeah, pretty kind of. Maybe.
Yeah,
but,
we use it.
Yeah.
United States uses the scary drug war and everything, and the Mexican drug cartels to keep us scared, and that's why we need a bigger fence.
That makes sense too. Is it like a parallel?
Well, I mean, this is your scary neighbor.
Right.
We need a fence.
Well, I will say too, kind of like Mexico, Ukraine has always been very resource rich. You talked about the shale gas, but Ukraine used to be the breadbasket of the world, right? If I recall, it's a big agricultural country.
It has a very, very good soil. Like, it's blacktop everywhere. The kind of stuff you buy for your pots at Home Depot is pretty much dirt in Ukraine.
Wow, that's the super fertile stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
It's crazy. It's funny too, is you talk about
Chris is already having hydroponic dreams here.
not for that, just for the food that can be made from the soil that I can cook and eat. No, but what's funny too is
sorry, go ahead.
No, don't forget what?
Don't forget, 6 million Ukrainians were starved by the communist government.
Holodomor, right?
Yeah, Holodomor. So there's quite a bit of fertilizer for that too, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, it's really tragic what governments like the Soviet Union did to a lot of people. And the irony too is you talk about the Mongol rule and the Tatars. If you I can't even pronounce things right. But if you look at modern day Russians, it's a bit subtle, but it's there, especially when you compare them to other Slavs. There is a little bit of that remnants in their look of the Mongols and the Tatar people in the south from that admixture over a long time. And not that that's a bad thing.
Find it very offensive.
What's that?
I'm pretty sure they'll find that statement very offensive.
But it shouldn't be, and that's the sad part of it. It's just part of their history. But, it just feeds into that whole, projecting this particular kind of image in for political purposes. But anyway, well, Rasa, it's been a pleasure. Rasa of Mycelium, mycelium.com. We got 35 seconds left. Any parting thoughts for us?
Give me an excuse to come visit you in March.
South by Southwest.
Okay.
We don't have much more of a Bitcoin excuse, but if you do come, we'll go for some beers.
Maybe we can have a Bitcoin meetup at the Brave New Books.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. There's a special one for Mycelium and Rasa. Well, dude, if you come, hit us up. We'll take you out.
Cool.
Cool, man.
Love to.
Absolutely. We'll see you soon then, and we'll catch you next time.